Hello and welcome to my sculpting channel in 3D printing. Today I want to show you how I create using monster clay, my own version of the bride of the monster of Frankenstein. I have so much fun, so let's just start. And usually when I create my sculpture more with polymer clay, I use a wooden base and I use like a nail, a wire, something just that can hold aluminum foil and I can put my clay around. But this time I didn't have any and I didn't have time to go to the store. So I decided, you know what? You have a 3D printer, use it. So I grabbed my iPad. I was able to create like a full kind of base without needing of aluminum foil or any type of metal or support. So I was really happy. I used PLF to create this base. I was excited. It printed. If you know a little bit about 3D printing, this one has some defects. I didn't use support for the overhanging, which I wanted. And I want to take advantage that this is print on a FDM printer, which means it has layers and that will grab the clay. So I'm going to put this aside and now it's time to grab my clay. In other videos, I already talked about how I didn't have material, so I needed to destroy and melt this diorama of this ghost. So I was using this bucket, but it wasn't fitting correctly. And I melted, you can see in this channel, other monster clay, other sculptures, and I have done a huge mess. So I wanted really to have everything on the bucket. So I start just kind of taking it apart. And then I remember that actually I used a wooden base, which I could have used in some wire and aluminum foil. To be honest, I'm still happy that I did the base. I didn't remember that I have this base because monster clay is the only material that I have done. Sculptures don't have any armature, any structure for support. This material will allow you to do that. For sure, it's faster and easier to have something. That's why I printed this support. So I melted with my heat gun. Be careful. This one can be really powerful. Remember, tools and everything are in the descriptions. And remember, there are affiliate links. And I melted this sculpture, which it was kind of fun, but at the same time, it was one of the first one that I did. Not the very first one, but I'm getting better. And I love to melt it to a point that it's liquid. You don't have to do that. You just have to make sure that the clay is soft. Be careful. When it's completely liquid, you will burn yourself. When it's kind of soft, you really, well, depending on you, how sensitive you are, you may just feel hot and you can use it. I completely melted to liquid state because I have to make sure that the light is on. I have to make sure that the camera is pointing to the right direction, that is on and that I can record. By the time I'm ready, the clay is already firm enough to just grab it and start working. Okay, now that I have that, I'm gonna grab some clay and I'm completely surprised. It was such an amazing experience, even if I knew. But what I'm talking about is putting the clay on this 3D printed armature was really satisfying. The clay will completely just stay. In less than a minute, I had the whole thing covered, which is great. I'm not going to completely do the whole base, which I could have. I was thinking to even create like a cemetery base or something cool, but I don't have a lot of time. And I wanted to make sure that I remember that I have that 3D printing base, and I'm not really sure how much clay I'm going to use. So I'm going to try to keep some. Usually the way I start every sculpture is taking small pieces and try to find where I want the eyes, where I want the nose. This one, I knew it was going to give me a lot of problems because it has a huge head or skull, we can say. I was thinking, no, before to do just like a monster, but I decided, you know what? I'm just going to do this project and see how it turns out. So I was just pushing, trying to form, try to give the shape of the face. I know it was going to be really weird having such a tiny structure, but while I was doing it, because if you have seen this channel, I don't really measure or take a lot of reference or sketch to know what I'm doing, which is bad, again, because of the time. But while I was working, I was like, oh, maybe I can shape the face with the hair. The hair, kind of wanted the same typical Marge from The Simpsons hair. That's how I think it was the original look. But I wanted to do a little bit something different, more modern. I don't know if I achieved that. It's not perfect. I know I have to work on hair. That for sure is one of my weakness. And just make sure that you go around, that you don't stay in one place. Shaping like part of the body will help you reshape part of the top just to make sure everything kind of feel that is in the same body. Like you can see, I just use the tip of my fingers in this spatula that I love. And even if the clay is solidified, it's really easy with this tool just to push to smooth things and to create details. For the hair, there's many techniques. I was trying to use hair by hair, but I was like, no, let's use a bigger spatula to create just chunks of hair. It really used not only make faster, but used to block certain parts and create pretty much any type of hairstyle. So I'm gonna still working on the details, and I'm gonna show you the final result in a moment. You're always gonna hear me talk a little bit about time, and it's not a complaint, but I want just to say, if you are like me, that you have to work all day, that you have family, that you have pets, that you have pretty much that you cannot really sleep. You don't even have time to sleep. There's always 5 minutes that you can dedicate to what you want. This sculpture, I did it in 2 nights. You don't have to do a project just right away when you sit down. It's inconvenient, no? You have to move, you have to arrange your workspace, and sometimes it's just like, I do I really want to do that? And you have to redo it maybe several times when you're working in that piece. And it will be easier just to do that one. But it's possible. It's possible. So now let's see the result. I'm really happy. Please comment below what you think. With PLA, that is the material that I use for my 3D print. Not a really flexible material. So just be careful if you're using something like this, because it can break if you're trying to twist it, trying to move your clay. More if it is monster clay and it's really solid, it will kind of break. It kind of hurt almost breaking when I was working on it. So just have that in mind. Subscribe. YouTube is telling me that 99% of the people that watches my videos don't subscribe. Please help me out so I can have time to just create the sculptures and show you this fun art. So create your own things, enjoy your art, and see you next time.